My daughter-in-law said the best gift is if you disappear from our family. So I did. Before you judge me, let me tell you how I got here. Standing in my son's kitchen in Austin, Texas, watching my daughter-in-law Sierra smirk at me. The best gift you could give us, Helen. Just disappear. Permanently. My son Caleb didn't even look up from his phone, just nodded. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. But here's what they didn't know. I wasn't the broken woman they thought I was. 2 years ago, I sold the lakefront cabin in Minnesota that my late husband James and I had built with our own hands. 40 years of memories gone. Why? To give Caleb and Sierra their dream home down payment. $103,000. They'd promised I'd always have a room. Your family forever, Mom. Now, 24 hours before their destination wedding, the one costing me another $18,000, Sierra decided forever had an expiration date. Mom, you're making this harder than it needs to be, Caleb said. Sierra's stressed. We have 90 guests arriving tomorrow. Your attitude isn't helping. My attitude? I'd been up since 5 arranging welcome baskets. My crime? Suggesting we didn't need both a mariachi band and a DJ. Where am I supposed to go? Sierra waved her hand dismissively, her 3-carat ring catching the light, the one I'd helped pay for. Holiday Inn by the highway. Figure it out. Just be gone before guests arrive. This house, I started, is ours, Sierra cut me off. You gave us some cash 2 years ago. That's it. Some cash. $103,000 reduced to some cash. That's when something inside me didn't break. It sharpened. You're absolutely right, I said quietly. I should go. Sierra blinked. She'd expected tears. I'll be out in 30 minutes. Caleb actually smiled with relief. Thanks for understanding, Mom. But what they didn't know was that I owned 40% of their house. As I packed, I could hear them planning how to redecorate. Sierra wanted a yoga studio. Caleb thought home gym. Neither mentioned guilt. I pulled out my phone and dialed my attorney. Catherine Wu had handled my affairs since James died. Helen, it's Saturday night. Everything okay? I told her everything. Catherine listened, typing furiously. Helen, remember those documents I made you sign when Sierra kept forgetting to return paperwork? My heart started pounding. That $103,000 wasn't a gift. Legally, it's an investment loan with your name on the deed. Sierra never signed the acknowledgement forms in Texas law. You own 40% of that property. I nearly dropped the phone. Through the window, I could see Sierra laughing on video chat, living her best life in the house my money bought. Catherine, what happens if I want to sell my share? You can force a partition sale. They'd have first right of refusal at market value. If they can't afford it, the house goes on the market. I watched Caleb pop champagne. Catherine, prepare a notice of intent to sell. Deliver it Monday morning. Are you certain? I've never been more certain. They want me to disappear? Fine, but I'm taking my 40% with me. But I wasn't done. I made my second call. Lone Star Events. This is Jasmine. Hi, this is Helen Morrison. I need to cancel tomorrow's wedding reception. Cancel? But Mom, 90 guests are confirmed. I'll pay all cancellation fees. I signed the contract and put down the $12,000 deposit. I have the authority, correct? Yes, but surely you want to speak with the couple. The couple made it clear my involvement is no longer welcome. Cancel everything. Send the bill to the Hilton Garden Inn. 20 minutes later, I was in the hotel, ordering room service, feeling control of my own life return. My phone rang at 11:52 p.m. What did you do? Sierra's voice was deafening. I honored your request. You wanted me to disappear, so I disappeared. You cancelled our reception. I cancelled the reception I was paying for. You can still get married. I just won't be funding the party. Caleb grabbed the phone. Mom, this is insane. I didn't cancel your wedding. You can still say your vows. I just cancelled the $18,000 reception I was financing. Silence. I'd never mentioned the cost. $18,000? Sierra's voice was faint. The reception, photographer, videographer, flowers, band. Did you think it was free? But 90 people? You're resourceful. Taco Bell caters now. Sierra was crying, ugly, gasping sobs. How could you do this? You told me to disappear from your family permanently. I didn't mean forever, just for the weekend. Ah, so when you said permanently, you meant temporarily. I should have been psychic. Can you at least call the venue back? It was a business decision by the person paying for everything. Sierra grabbed the phone. You're being cruel. No, sweetie, cruel was telling me to disappear. I'm just being fiscally responsible. I let that hang in the air. Well, without my financial support, you probably are going to be broke. That's another thing we should discuss. What do you mean? Have you looked at your household budget? Because I've been supplementing your lifestyle. The grocery money I slip Sierra. The utility bills when you're a little short. The endless emergencies. Those were gifts, Sierra said weakly. Were they? From where I'm sitting, they look like an allowance, and allowances can be discontinued. Finally, Caleb spoke. What do you want, Mum? An hour ago, they couldn't wait to get rid of me. I want exactly what you offered, to disappear permanently and take my money with me. By Sunday morning, my phone had 43 missed calls. I ignored them all while enjoying room service. At 9 a.m., there was pounding on my door. Caleb in his wrinkled tuxedo shirt, looking like he hadn't slept. Mum, please. Sierra's locked in the bathroom. Her mother's threatening to fly back. Everything's falling apart. I'm sorry to hear that. You destroyed our wedding. No, I removed my financial support. There's a difference. He pushed into the room. This is insane. Sit down, Caleb. This isn't about sleeping arrangements. This is about respect, about gratitude, about treating the person who made your lifestyle possible like a human being. We've always treated you well. Have you? When was the last time you asked about my life? When was the last time you called just to talk, treated me like your mother instead of your ATM? Silence. In the past 2 years, how much money have I given you? A few thousand. $47,000. His face went white. On top of the 103 for the house, that's 150,000, Caleb. We were planning to pay you back. Were you? Sierra's been shopping for a Range Rover. You've been looking at Cabo timeshares. What do you want? I want you to understand I'm not your ATM. I want you to understand that when you treat someone badly enough, eventually they stop caring about your problems. So you're punishing us? No, I'm protecting myself by stopping the financial abuse. I leaned forward. Yesterday, Sierra told me to disappear permanently, and you agreed, after everything I've sacrificed. She didn't mean it. Yes, she did. And you're going to get exactly what you asked for. What does that mean? I smiled, not nicely. I'm talking about the legal documents you never read, the ones that make me co-owner. I own 40% of your house, and I'm putting it on the market. The colour drained from his face. You can't own our house. With my $103,000 down payment, did you think it evaporated? I showed him Catherine's email. My lawyer protected my investment. Sierra was supposed to sign acknowledgement forms. She kept forgetting. Legally binding anyway. You planned this. If I'd been planning, I wouldn't have spent $18,000 on your wedding first. So what now? Now you choose. Buy out my 40% at market value, or we sell and split proceeds. We can't afford that. 40% is over $150,000. I know, I'm good at math. That's why I have money and you're always broke. Caleb, your income is $9,200 monthly. Your mortgage alone is $2,800. You're spending more than you make every month. How do you know? Because I've been making up the difference for 2 years. The hotel phone rang. Jasmine from Lone Star Events. Mrs. Morrison, the bride's mother, is offering to pay all costs if you'll allow the reception. I looked at Caleb. That's generous, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Family dynamics make it inappropriate. After hanging up, Sierra's mother was willing to pay $18,000. Too bad her daughter couldn't be civil. Caleb pulled out his phone. I need to call Sierra. Go ahead. But make sure she understands. I'm not the same woman who walked out Friday. That woman was desperate to keep peace. This woman is done being taken advantage of. You're really going to force us to sell? I'm exercising my legal rights. What you do with that is up to you. 20 minutes later, Sierra called. Helen, please. No, sweetie, you made that clear Friday. I was stressed. I didn't mean it. Sierra, in 2 years, you've never once thanked me, never asked about my life, never invited me anywhere unless you needed something. Silence. When was the last time you called just to check on me? Never. But you're very good at calling when you need money. Helen, please. I'll apologize publicly. I'll pay you back. Pay me back with what? You don't work. I'll get a job. Great. But it doesn't change the house situation. What if we pay back everything? Sierra, you owe me $150,000. At minimum wage, that's 7 years. Assuming you never spend money on anything else. Reality sinking in. By 4 p.m., they'd called 23 times. I answered none. I was in the hotel bar watching local news coverage of a wedding disaster. Footage of Sierra in her dress, mascara running, was unmistakable. Excuse me, aren't you Helen Morrison? A woman my age with silver hair. Linda Chen, Sierra's mother. She sat. I wanted to thank you. Not what I'd expected. For showing my daughter who she really is, Linda ordered a martini. I've been worried about Sierra for years, the entitlement, the way she treats people. Then today, I saw how she treats the woman who made everything possible. I was horrified. You offered to pay. Not because I support her behavior, because I felt responsible for guests, but you were right to refuse. My daughter needed real consequences. She called demanding I loan them money to buy out your share. I told her absolutely not. If she wanted to own a house, she should have treated the co-owner with respect. Linda paused. What's your endgame? Honestly, I haven't decided. May I offer advice from someone who's been enabling her daughter 37 years? Don't save them from this. Whatever you decide, don't cushion the fall. Sierra has never faced real consequences. She pulled out a business card. If you ever want to talk to someone who understands loving an ungrateful child, call me. I hadn't decided what I wanted. As I sat weighing options, my phone rang. Mrs. Morrison, this is Detective Ramirez with Austin Police. I'm calling about a report regarding potential elder financial abuse. They've requested a welfare check. Those manipulative snakes. Detective, I assure you I'm in full possession of my faculties. We need to follow up. Would you be available tomorrow? Absolutely. In fact, I have quite a lot to discuss about financial abuse, just not the kind my family reported. Detective Ramirez met me Monday morning. I'd brought my entire financial file. The person who called seemed concerned. I'm sure. My daughter-in-law is good at that when it suits her. I spread bank statements across his desk. Detective, in 2 years, I've given them $150,000. Check after check, wire transfers, credit card payments. This is substantial. Saturday, when I set boundaries, they decided I must be mentally incompetent. I played Sierra's voicemail suggesting I was having a breakdown. Any cognitive issues? None. I manage my own finances, household, drive myself. The only thing that changed is I stopped letting them take advantage. I showed him the house documents. By the end, he seemed satisfied. I'm closing this as unfounded. As I drove away, Caleb called. Mom, the police aren't pursuing it. That's because I'm not the one being abused. The detective was very interested in my documentation. Are you threatening us? I'm informing you that your manipulation isn't working. Can we sit down and talk? We can, but not at the house I co-own, and not until Sierra apologizes. A real apology. Where? Catherine Wu's office, tomorrow at 2. Bring a realistic proposal. The meeting was brutal. Caleb and Sierra arrived 20 minutes late. Sierra's polish was gone, no makeup, swollen eyes. Helen, I owe you an enormous apology. Thank you, that's a start. Catherine spread documents. Helen provided $103,000 for down payment. Deed lists 40% ownership. We had no idea. You would have if Sierra had signed acknowledgement forms. I sent them 5 times. I let them squirm. I have 2 options. Option 1, buy out my 40% at market value, $152,000. Sierra went white. Option 2, we sell and split proceeds. We'd have to move. Yes, to something you can actually afford, Catherine calculated. You'd net about $320. Helen's share roughly $128. You'd have about $190 for new housing. That's not enough. It's enough for an apartment or smaller house, the kind people with your income should live in. Is there a payment plan? At what rate? With what collateral? You've proven you don't honor financial agreements. You owe me $47,000 in emergency loans you never intended to repay. Catherine, Helen has every legal right to force a sale. She's being generous. How long do we have? 30 days. Sierra grabbed my arm, leaving. We're family, doesn't that count? I looked at her face. For a moment, I saw the scared young woman behind the entitlement. Sierra, family is supposed to count for something. That's exactly the point. 3 weeks later, Linda Chen called. Can we meet for coffee? Downtown. Linda looked tired. They're terrible. Sierra's having panic attacks. Caleb's working overtime, fighting constantly. Helen, I'm here to tell you about Sierra's father. Richard spoiled our daughter rotten. Every consequence cushioned. When Sierra was 18, she wrecked her car drunk. Richard got charges dropped. Why tell me? Because I finally understand her problems won't be solved by more money or rescuing. Linda pulled out a check. Sierra asked me to give you this. $30,000. She tore the check in half. Whatever you decide, you have my support. Even if they lose their home, maybe starting over will teach Sierra what work means. I'd been Sierra's enabler just as much as her parents. My phone buzzed. Text from Caleb. We've been approved for a home equity loan covering $90,000. Can we discuss partial payment for the rest? They were trying, but a home equity loan meant going deeper into debt. I typed, we can discuss it, but I want to see a complete budget and realistic plan for paying off all debts, not just mine. Anything you want, Mom. Progress. The budget meeting was enlightening. You spend $600 monthly on restaurants. We work long hours. Sierra, you don't work at all. Down the list. $400 on clothing, $250 on streaming. $200 on gym membership you've used 4 times. $900 in credit card minimums. You need $11,000 monthly. You bring home $9,200. But with the loan, we could pay off cards. You'd be borrowing against the house for credit card debt. What happens when you run up cards again? What would you want to see, Mom? Finally. A budget reflecting actual income. Cooking at home, cancelling subscriptions. And Sierra, get a job. A job? Yes. You're 37 with a degree. Contribute to household income. Here's my offer. Buy out my share for $110,000 instead of $152. But conditions. They perked up. First, Sierra gets a job within 60 days, maintains it 18 months. Second, sell 1 car, use proceeds for debt. Third, stick to realistic budget. No restaurants, no shopping, no new debt for 2 years. How would you monitor? Monthly check-ins with Catherine. Bank statements, credit reports, income proof. Violate any condition. Full amount becomes due immediately. That's like financial prison. No, Sierra, that's accountability. They discussed privately when they returned. We accept your terms. All of them. 6 months later, Sierra called. Helen, I got the promotion. She was now office manager at the dental practice. That's wonderful. Exhausted, she laughed. First genuine laugh in years, but also proud. I never knew I was good at managing. You always were. You just never had to use those skills. Pause. Helen, I owe you a real apology. I was horrible. I treated you like an ATM. I told myself you were dramatic, but the truth, I was entitled and cruel. Her words affected me. What changed? Having to work for money? realizing how hard it is to save when paying your own bills, understanding what you sacrificed. And Caleb? Better. We're talking more. We cook together. We take walks instead of shopping. It's nice. Would you like to come to dinner? Just homemade lasagna and conversation that isn't about money? Old Helen would have said yes immediately. I'd like that, but let's start with lunch in a public place. Baby steps. Of course. After we hung up, I processed how different this felt. Sierra sounded like an adult taking responsibility. Maybe the lesson had finally taken. Text from Linda. Heard about Sierra's promotion. Thank you for not giving up on her. Thank you for not bailing her out. Sometimes the kindest thing is letting someone face consequences. Sometimes love means saying no. And sometimes the best gift is the opportunity to discover who they really are when no one's there to catch them. I'd spent 2 years being their safety net. In doing so, I'd robbed them of developing their own strength. When I finally pulled that net away, they learned to fly. Not because they wanted to, because they had to. Outside my window, the sun was setting over the community garden. And tomorrow I was having lunch with Frank, who'd asked me out after book club. At 66, I was finally learning what it felt like to be valued for who I was, not what I could provide. And that was worth more than all the money I'd ever given away.